Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Luke Sullivan. Luke, it's great to have you on the show.
A pleasure to be here.
Now, Luke is the head of pre-sales for the Telecommunications business unit at VertiGIS. VertiGIS is a leading global provider of software and services for geographic information systems, sometimes known as GIS, specializing in enhancing, Esri's ArcGIS platform. They offer low-code, web-based tools for industries like utilities, public sector, and land management to visualize, analyze, and manage spatial data through products such as VertiGIS Studio, networks, and really have an overarching approach, VertiGIS Neo. And so we'll be talking to Luke a lot about that stuff. But before we get there, Luke, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your role at VertiGIS.
Yeah, thanks. Now, my role in VertiGIS is really focused today on the telecommunications solutions that we offer to our customers. Now, I have a telecommunications background. I'm originally from Australia, and I actually joined the VertiGIS group through working with the ConnectMaster team. So ConnectMaster is this telecommunications focused solution that we offer. And I joined the team around 15 years ago in various roles and have slowly evolved and now heading up the pre-sales activities within the telecommunications business unit.
Amazing. And I've spoken to you a little bit about VertiGIS Neo. Now, VertiGIS Neo, you can see there's obviously, information about VertiGIS Neo on the website, but tell us a little bit about Neo, maybe in practical terms.
Sure. So Neo is a target framework for the way we deliver services or deliver solutions to customers. Neo is really looking at how do we evolve our existing suite of tools, our existing suite of applications, and how do we engage new customers and understand their requirements, and really taking specific needs and understanding what solutions do we have that can meet those needs, what are their future needs, and what architecture and frameworks need to be built around the overall solutions so that we can solve problems not just for today, but also look at the future needs and understand how we scale, how we can integrate AI into the overall solutions, workflows, and products that we offer, and essentially just basically solving problems in the most efficient way possible.
Whenever I think of telecom operators, I always think back of like when we went to 2G and then 3G and then 4G and now 5G. It just seems like there's always changes and obviously expansions in the capabilities. And I mean, I think that probably when anyone thinks about the challenges that telecom operators face, they have obviously increasing network complexity. I'd say probably have to kind of take into consideration the legacy systems that they have to deal with as well. And then obviously just constant pressure to find ways to modernize. I mean, how does Neo fit and help those telecom operators think through that stuff?
Well, if we consider Neo as really an approach to the way we solve problems and the way we deliver solutions, we really want to make sure that we cover users and customers' requirements today for whatever needs they have. But also, as that need changes, we need to make sure that the products we offer and the solutions we build have the flexibility to grow and evolve as the requirements, the technologies, and the customer expectations are changing. Now, this is in many ways, the challenges for today are no different than they were 20 years ago. In many ways, customers or operators need to document their networks. They need to have a consolidated inventory and understand all of the detailed relationships between all of the elements. Now, this applies for the physical network, anything installed in the field. It also applies to any of the, let's say, the equipment, the transmission devices that are installed in the network and how they deliver services across those. That is essentially at a high level unchanged for decades. And As the technologies change, there are some refinement or updates in terms of inventory management. And that's what we do with Connect Master. That's the core functionality, is looking at the inventory for the network and understanding the detailed relationships between every part of the network and the resources. Obviously, there's a secondary point to that. As the networks change and the expectations change, but also the availability of technology underlying the solutions and tools are radically different today than they were 20 years ago. There's an expectations for the workflow improvements, for APIs to be able to integrate in much more powerful ways across systems and across an organization, but also the ability to use AI and leverage those. So Neo is really about taking the existing capabilities of existing platforms and tools and slowly building platforms and solutions around them and updating architectures where needed, but making sure that we can evolve with the customer's needs, evolve with the changing technologies at the architectural level, and still not lose any of that underlying functionality that, in the case of Connect Master, has actually been built over the last 3 decades.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that kind of builds on, that idea of the flexibility of the framework, definitely. However, certainly in the age of AI, being AI ready, being cloud-centric are all these kind of critical elements that any solution needs to have. And I've noticed that you talk about Neo as kind of like a framework instead of really a standalone product. Tell me a little bit about kind of like that clear differentiation of why you guys think about it that way.
Well, we think of it that way because we don't want to lose any of, let's call it legacy functionality. So if we have tools that have been built for many years, they were built initially without necessarily frameworks that support cloud deployments, that support software as a service solutions, and without supporting AI. Now, the AI, cloud capabilities, and cloud-ready deployments, these are all important considerations for all of our customers now, from infrastructure perspective, but also how users interact with the data. So what Neo is looking at, how do we incorporate those without losing functionality? I guess if you take some examples or even some alternative platforms or alternative solutions in the market, they really are, yes, they're AI capable, yes, they're ready, but they really sit as frameworks. They're much more like if you consider a framework as maybe an instruction for what a toolbox could look like and what can be installed in what you can carry in it. And then maybe some other platforms are more just data models. And that data model is you can think of it like the actual toolbox. You create the toolbox, but it's empty. It doesn't have anything in it. And what we really want to make sure is that we're still delivering that toolbox full of tools so that users can actually go and build something useful with it. So that's why that's I guess the difference between why Neo is important to us, is because we want that toolbox, and we want the set of tools already available as the toolbox gets bigger, as the toolbox gets more powerful and can have more tools available.
It also really kind of points to that differentiation for the way you and the team are approaching things. I mean, I would say that, as someone who leads businesses myself, I find that every vendor once I've rolled out a solution, they're like, oh no, we've got a new solution, we've got a new thing, like totally different, and kind of that kind of rip and replace modernization approach. And it does seem like the nice thing about VertiGIS Neo is that you're building and you're evolving in a way that can work for the telecom in a perhaps more constructive fashion.
And it applies to telecommunications, but also applies across all of our business units. So obviously I'm talking specifically about the telecoms BU, but the same approach applies for solutions, whether they're telecommunications specific. And now we do have a lot of customers that might be utilities. So utilities have the need to document their electrical infrastructure, for example, but also that electrical utility will have their own fiber network. So that also have telecommunications requirements to document. So it's understanding and making sure that whatever we offer has a consistent framework, a consistent architecture. And as you mentioned, we can keep the existing functionality and slowly enrich that with and empower users with the new technologies, new architectures, and the new capabilities.
Now, I mean, one of the key things that everyone asks is when you roll out a technology, I find this even in my own company, whenever we make a change in our technology, it forces people to suddenly have to change the way they do things, and people never like that. How do you find your customers react to, VertiGIS Neo in terms of just kind of like how they're operating, how they're making decisions, etc.?
Well, it's one of the key features of Neo for us. It's an approach, it's a framework, and all of the solutions that we offer are really targeting what the customer's problems are. So it's really about understanding the customer, understanding what their needs are, and rather than just delivering a set of functions, we say, what do you actually want to do? And therefore, we deliver solutions, we deliver ways for them to work within that. And now Neo, obviously, by enabling the scalability with cloud infrastructure, hybrid architectures, and AI, we're also allowing their user capabilities to remain unchanged while their technological infrastructures are being updated. And it's really about allowing to evolve with the customer, understanding the customer's needs today, and that the progressive and organic evolution in many ways of the applications and the solutions to meet the user expectations is a critical part of adoption for any tool within an organization. So that we need to be able to solve problems. We need to be able to work with their end users and not just the high level managers delivering a set of tools. We need to be able to show that the solutions are of value to the end users, are of value to the overall organization, and the combined approach of focusing on solutions and focusing on the end customer problems is really the way in our approach in order to be able to do that.
Now, Luke, as we know, challenges change, priorities change every year. I would imagine that the conversations that you had in 2025 will be different from 2026. When you're out there talking to folks, telecom operators, what do you think? What are people prioritizing, or what should they be prioritizing this year?
Well, okay, what they are prioritizing is actually very, very much AI. It's very difficult to have a conversation with any of our customers, existing or new or potential, without talking about AI. So AI is obviously a fairly fundamental part of the expected part of the conversation, but also from our own developments, we understand the value that it can offer to end users in terms of really just simplifying how users can leverage the data. So obviously, so we're an inventory system. We're documenting telecommunications networks and presenting a lot of information about what is actually built. In terms of how can we use it, the customers need to be able to understand the value of that data. Now, the data has immense value from an operational perspective, immense value from a let's say return of investment perspective. So they need to find creative and new ways of leveraging their previous investment, which includes the effort to actually capture the infrastructure data in an inventory system such as ConnectMaster. Now, making the value of that is understanding how can they deliver services on that network, how they can operate that network the most efficiently as possible, enriching their operational processes with the value that they should expect to get from that data is really where we focus a lot of the discussion. Now, what they should be focusing on is what are their pain points today? And a lot of them are. I think that's if we're having a conversation with a new customer, it's because they're aware and probably painfully aware of current issues that they have with their own processes because of limitations in the data or limitations with their existing inventory management systems. And as such, it's really quite a natural, quite an organic conversation to have with customers to say, what are your biggest issues? And they come to us with those, and we'll do our best to essentially define solutions that meet those. And we're lucky in VertiGIS to have quite a rich suite of tools to be able to either meet them already today or to propose some kind of solution that combines tools across our suite and across our product range that can actually meet that.
So, Luke, I mean, we've been talking a lot today about, VertiGIS Neo, the framework, If someone wanted to learn more about what you and the team are working on, where's the best place to find that information?
Well, one place is our website, so vertigis.com. There is a page that where people that are interested can contact us, and someone from the commercial teams or sales teams will be in touch to organize a presentation. There are some resources online as well, particularly across the VertiGIS Studio product suite, where there are really a lot of information available online, and quite a number of customers worldwide that are already using the tool to build applications that are GIS centric. So really anything related to maps, you can use VertiGIS Studio to create your own tools and create your own web applications in order to leverage that GIS data and enrich it with your application specific needs. For any questions related to ConnectMaster, I would recommend primarily connecting via the website and just submitting the form and asking for any more information.
Well, Luke, I know that you're obviously based in Europe, but that is a beautiful piece of Aboriginal art behind you. So
Thank you.
sharing your Australian heritage there, which is wonderful. It's been great talking to you about VertiGIS and also VertiGIS Neo, and certainly the challenges and the opportunities for telecom operators as they move forward here. We've been talking to Luke Sullivan today, who is the head of pre-sales for the Telecommunications business unit at VertiGIS. And we've been talking to him specifically in more detail about VertiGIS Neo, which is really, I'd say, a framework that allows you to go beyond, I'd say, that foundational structure for GIS tools and really kind of aim to unlock the potential of those investments across the board. Luke, thank you so much for being on the show today, and we look forward to having you back.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.